Hello, I'm Mikey and welcome to a money making video for fletching ruby and diamond dragon bolts in Old School Runescape. I haven't really seen much about this method, so I thought I'd make a video for the people that don't know about it. It's a very easy method and it is not only great GP per hour right now, but it is very good XP as well, which means you may choose to use this as a general training method. There is only one requirement for this method, which is 84 fletching. Alternatively, you can do this exact same method with adamant bolts at level 63, but the GP rates are much lower. So to get started, what you're going to need is some dragon bolts as well as some ruby or diamond bolt tips. You're going to want an equal number of bolt tips and dragon bolts. However, there is a buy limit of 11,000 every 4 hours on both the bolt tips and the dragon bolts. So if you have the money, you may leave some bids for these items to sit for as long as you want. Unfortunately, this is the only way you can acquire a large amount of these without trading other players or using alt accounts. If trading with other players, be very careful, as some players may seek to scam you out of your GP, so I personally would not recommend this. So when you use the bolt tips on the dragon bolts, it will bring up a menu. That allows you to select how many you want to create, make sure it's set to 10, and you're good to go. Simply repeat this until you run out of supplies. I just hold the spacebar the entire time, but that's not entirely necessary. You can just tap the spacebar every time the menu comes up. But holding it just means there's no wasted time, and why not? You could literally just put a paperweight on it or whatever. Just try not to damage your spacebar, because you need your spacebar for quests. You really do. So yeah, you could do it. You can do it anywhere. Get creative. I've added fletching to my agility training before now, but that's a little too click intensive for my liking. So I'd probably shy away from that one. Ruby and diamond dragon bolts generally give a similar profit rate. One can be more than the other or less than the other. I think diamond are usually a little bit higher, but I'm going to be using ruby dragon bolts as my examples, and both may vary, so I recommend checking prices before buying. Any differences is probably minor, but it's always worth it to check. At the time of making the video, each dragon bolt costs 798 GP, but I paid 800 each to get them a little bit sooner, and the ruby bolt tips cost just 94 GP each, but mine instantly bought for lower at 90 GP, so I'll be using the prices that I bought them at. So to calculate the profit, we subtract the supply cost from the money made, which is 940 minus 890 GP, which gives us a whopping 50 GP per ruby dragon bolt made. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but your character will continue to make 10 bolts at a time, so every time the XP drops, you're making 10 times 50, which is 500. So that's 500 GP every time the XP drops, and your character will do that 10 times until they've created 100. So 50 times 10 is 500, and then times that by 10, that's 5,000. And even if the margins are lower, say you're making 30 GP per bolt, then that'd still be 3,000 every time you create a set of 100. So the buy limit's 11,000, and if we were to complete that, how long would it take and how much would we make in terms of GP and XP? I used the timer in RuneLite to work out how long it took me, and it took just under 25 minutes to do 11,000 bolts, and the total supply costs were 9,797,272 GP, and the amount we made back was a whopping 10,340,000 GP. So that doesn't sound like a massive margin. In fact, it's not that much, but when you break it down, it is actually quite a lot, because this leaves a profit of 542,748 GP in 25 minutes. So as a skilling moneymaker, you have just made over $500,000 in 25 minutes. If you could make bolts for the full hour, this would be around 1.3 mil GP per hour, which for a skilling moneymaker is actually amazing. And I know the rates of profit will vary. It purely depends on supply and demand. So I may have got really lucky, and assuming I've got really lucky, if we reduce the profit made per bolt to 30, instead of 50, that would change the hourly profit to 792k, which is still a very good profit per hour when skilling. It's not only a good money maker though, it's also fairly good XP. Every 10 Ruby Dragon Bolts gives you 63 XP. For comparison, stringing a U longbow gives 75 XP, and 10 Diamond Dragon Bolts gives you 70 XP, making this method very good XP, considering it's highly profitable, and you never need to bank, so you can do it anywhere. 63 multiplied by 1100 is 69,300 XP. For Diamond Dragon Bolts, that would be 77k XP. If you could do this for a whole hour, that would be around 166k XP per hour for Ruby, and around 184k for Diamond. So I really like this as a moneymaker due to it giving decent XP rates at the same time. This concludes this money making video. I hope you found this useful. I have some other ideas for money making guides that I haven't seen anywhere just yet. So if you'd like to see them, please leave a like on the video, as it really helps the channel grow, especially since it's still a very small channel. And if you really like the video, please consider subscribing. Any questions or suggestions, leave a comment. All feedback is appreciated. As always, this was Machiavelli, signing out.